Hi guys, how's it going? And welcome back to our garden and back for another monthly tour. So I'm doing these tours about once a month, basically so I can kind of take stock of the garden myself to see how it's doing sort of month by month, see if there's any changes that I want to make, and also just to show you guys and give you guys an update about how the garden's looking, what plants are looking really good, what plants are not looking so good, any changes, any updates that I've made. So yeah, I thought we'd start in the front border, because I think the front border is looking quite nice at the minute. So yeah, some things have been cut back, obviously lavender and yeah, some of the perennials, but all in all I think it's not looking too bad. So I thought I'd kind of just take you around the border, show you some really beautiful plants, show you what's kind of going on in the border at the moment. All right, come and have a look. So come on in. So what I might do is just start sort of along the back and then work my way forward. I think that's a good idea. So coming on to the back. So one of the things I planted this year was this Photinia Pink Crispy. And you can probably see why I chose this plant. Such beautiful leaves, and the pink leaves, the new leaves come out pink, so which gives it its name, Pink Crispy. And also the stems sort of a really nice pink colour as well. So that's an evergreen, so that'll be there all year round. And then coming on next to it, we've got a Buddleia. So you can just see the sort of remnants of the colour, so like a really sort of deep pink, magenta-y, that sort of thing, or you could probably call it light purple, but yeah, I've sort of already cut those old bloom stalks back. So behind it we've got this gorgeous Weigelia, which is kind of trying to bloom again, which is a bit strange. So it's got these really gorgeous light burgundy pink flowers, and this normally flowers in the spring, so I don't know why it's trying to flower again. I've heard that from quite a few people actually, that the sort of spring plants that are supposed to flower in spring are suddenly starting to flower again. So I don't know, I think it's this weird weather that we've had, the weird summer weather. But yeah, that one again, I think I'll trim that down just after it stopped flowering. So this blooms on old wood, so you need to be careful when you prune it, but as soon as it stops flowering next year I will sort of prune it down again, because otherwise it gets absolutely massive. And then another plant which I planted this year is this lovely Fatsia japonica spider's web. Just look at those leaves, absolutely beautiful. So when they come out sort of more, as you can see, more sort of whitey, greeny, and then as they age, they sort of age to a more overall green leaf, but really pretty. Again, this is an evergreen, so that'll be there all year round. And then coming on down, again, we've just got sort of another evergreen shrub. I don't know what that's called. That was here all along. I've not planted that, but that again provides a really nice sort of evergreen backdrop to this border. Yeah, and then I've planted again this year. I've planted quite a few things this year. This is a pink bloomerang lilac. So this will have pink blooms in the spring, and again it's a little one, it's a little lilac, so it won't get too big, maybe sort of a metre kind of height and metre width. And coming on down, one of the really good things in this border at the moment are the grasses. So these are a perennial grass, but just look at those fronds. Just look absolutely beautiful, and in the wind, as you can see, when it's windy, they just kind of like float around. Really beautiful. When the sun catches them, actually there's another one up here, let me show you, that one over there. You can just see when the sun catches them, they sort of glisten. Really pretty. So that's the other one in the flower bed. So yeah, the colour's slightly different here. This one's in a bit more shade, so the fronds are sort of more whitey, I guess, and then the fronds on this one are a little bit more sort of purpley. I don't know if you can see that, but they're sort of a bit more purple. I think that's because it gets a little bit more sun. Anyway, coming on down. So just kind of going up a layer up. We've got some sweet alyssum just down here. It was just basically to fill in. I've put a few of those about. That's an annual, that'll go. And then I could always plant something else next year. This is a white rose, and again all the flowers have gone, but I'll just put up a picture up to show you what this was like a couple of weeks ago when it had its second flush. Absolutely beautiful. So that's a floribunda rose, so it has lots of different blooms on one stem. And then we've got the lavender here, which has already been cut back, but again that's really nice sort of purple blooms that come up. Bees love it, absolutely love it, and that'll keep coming back every year. We've got the armeria, and again I love the sort of difference in foliage here, sort of thin strappy foliage against, you know, the other foliages in the flower bed. I just think that looks really, really pretty. It's different, it has a different texture, and it has these white flowers which sort of keep coming all the way through. They start in spring all the way through summer, and it's still trying to push a few new flowers. And then we've got a penstemon. This is a Husker's Red, I think it's called. So you've got the red sort of burgundy stems and then the flowers, and again that's more of a summer flowering plant. And again that's a perennial, so that'll keep coming back. In front of that we've got a lovely euphorbia. Now this one I think it's called Ascot Rainbow, have I got that right? But in spring into early summer this will put out really, really beautiful yellow flowers. Really, really absolutely stunning. And then we've got a Veronica here, which has never really done anything. We had it in the back garden, but I don't think it got enough sun. So that I've moved into here, so hopefully it gets more sun. So next year we should see some more bloom. So this shoots up pink spikes, so a pink Veronica. And again, a perennial that'll keep coming back. And then look at this, got this gorgeous sedum. So this one is, I think it's called Atlantis. But yeah, the variegated foliage is what drew me to this sedum, and also the bright yellow flowers which have just about gone. You can just see the remnants of it over there, but they're sort of covered in these bright yellow flowers in the summer, sort of main summertime. And then I've got some foxglove which are going to flower next year, so I put these in this year. They were supposed to be same year flowering actually, but they haven't this year, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that they're going to flower. And that was a bit of a mix, so a kind of pinky whitey purpley mix, so we'll see what that shoots up next year. So foxgloves are biennial, so once they flower that's it I think, but you can obviously shake what a lot of people do is shake the flowers so that they sort of self-seed, and then they just keep growing themselves basically from their own seeds. So coming on back, so the next thing you can see there is the Russian sage. So again, beautiful, beautiful purple blooms attracting the pollinators like crazy. So this one tends to want to flop though. I've got another one just up in the other border. That one seems okay, but this one is trying to flop a little bit, so I've just had to support it. But I think there's different varieties that you can get that don't flop. They don't get sort of as big as this one. But yeah, it just adds a really nice different colour to the border. So in front of it we have got some creeping phlox. So these sort of early spring, they'll shoot up really sort of light purple blooms, sort of a mound of purple blooms, really, really pretty. So again, what I've tried to do is just sort of have lots of different seasons of interest in the garden. So quite a few bits that will come up in spring, and then sort of early summer, late summer, autumn, and then have something there in the winter as well. So yeah, I hope that that's sort of coming across. Yeah. So another new addition to the border, which I think it really, really needed at this time of year, was this bright yellow or light orange Rebecca. I think this is Rebecca Goldstrom. So that will sort of grow up, I think it said about 90 centimetres in height and probably width as well. But I just felt like the border at this time of year, the border needed some sort of a bright pop, because the euphorbia are done. with their flowers. The Alchemilla mollis, lady's mantle, that's kind of done. There's a little bit of, you know, flowering going on, but that's kind of done with the yellow flowers. So I just felt like the border needed that little bit of pop still at this time of year, so I put those in. And then coming on down, while we're talking about the lady's mantle, we've got a few in here as well, and again they sort of shoot up these chartreuse blooms, really, really pretty. I love lady's mantle. And again, perennial, they'll come back year after year. Little lupin behind, that's a pink lupin, again really, really nice in spring, early summer. Behind it there we have got, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more, we have got Loropetalum. I think this is called Ever Red, and you can see it's starting to create some blooms. So I think those are the blooms for next year, I'm thinking, because they do flower in spring, so I don't think they're trying to flower again, but who knows with the weird weather we've been having. But again, it's just the foliage that I wanted for this, really, really dark foliage, and then the blooms in the spring are really, really bright, light magenta pink blooms. I've got a couple of those in the flower bed. So coming on back to the centerpiece is this gorgeous eucalyptus. So this is called Azura gunny. So it's one of the smaller ones of the eucalyptus. So this will grow only up to about 4 meters. So yeah, I'm hoping it's just going to be a really nice sort of vertical structure in the flower bed, which I think it really, really needed. And again, just adding that different sort of foliage. Let me just zoom in again. Sort of different colour foliage, silvery, sagey. Different leaf structure as well. Yeah, just adds that little bit of different texture there. So coming on down, we've got an echinacea. So this is, I can't remember what type this was, but sort of a pink echinacea. And again, you can leave these up. So once you sort of notice that the blooms are starting to fade, you can leave the last ones up through winter. And that'll sort of provide a bit of forage for wildlife, and also just give you that bit of structure. So all these petals will fall off and you'll just be left with these little centre cones here. Again, just adding that little bit of structure which we need in winter. Again, in front of it, Sweet Alyssum, that's the annual, that'll go away. And then we've got this beautiful heuchera, which I think, against the sort of lady's mantle, that sort of difference in foliage, really, really beautiful, beautiful contrast. Yeah, really, really pretty leaves, beautiful. And then we've got a pink salvia behind it. So again, these are just sort of going out of their second bloom. This is the second flush. And again, yeah, these ones you can keep chopping back. So when they bloom, chop them back, they'll bloom again, normally sort of twice for us here in the UK. Again, just adds a little bit of pink to the flower border. And then we have got a, what do you call it? Granny's bonnet. I can't remember what the other word is for it. Aquilegia, that's it. So these will flower early spring. So these are a double, I think they're called Pinky Winky Aquilegia, something like that. Double, and they're sort of pink and yellow blooms. They'll sort of shoot up early spring. So again, that's a bit of spring interest there in the border. And then we're sort of just kind of repeating the flowers and the plants really. So again, we've got the perennial grass, the euphorbia, the rudbeckia, the lady's mantle, Ameria, the sedum. Yeah, so we're just basically repeating all of the things that we had in the sort of first half of the border. I've repeated here. So I wanted a bit of cohesion. I didn't want to sort of just put lots of one little plants everywhere. And this border really isn't big enough to have big drifts, which I'd love to have, but this border is really big enough. So I thought at least if I have one or two of the same plant in the border, that would help. So yeah, just a repeat really of the first half of the border, sort of coming and looking at it from this way, that side, which then takes me to our two little front pots that I recently redid last week. So sorry about the shadow, but I basically redid these pots because I wanted the pots to match, because before they didn't match at all. So I wanted them to be a little bit more of a statement at the front door, and I wanted them to be more matching. So what I've done is put some boxwoods in the centre, and again these I want to sort of train into be spheres, so really big spheres. So again you'll have that structure right at the front door all year round, and then I'm just going to put lots of different flowers depending on the season. I'll put some flowers around. So as you can see, we have got some pansies which will take us through into sort of, well, autumn into early winter, and then I'll see what I can put in after that through winter. But yeah, I think it looks really, really pretty. I'm just waiting for these spheres to grow really. And then behind it in this pot we have got the purple clematis, which is starting to come into its own. It took a while actually to get going, but it's got some really, really lovely fresh leaves, and that's just going to sort of train itself up. This that there, the structure there, which is nice. Right, should we go and have a look at the back borders then? Right then guys, so coming into the back border, so I do love this flower bed, just sort of a bit of a rockery. You've got the ajuga there, really, really beautiful, cascades down. I love the foliage. It's sort of looking a little bit holy at the minute because it's getting towards the end of the season. But again, like the other one, like the Weigela, it's starting to push new blooms, which I don't think it normally does. It just does it once and then it's done, but it is starting to try and bloom again, which is nice because I like the blooms. They're really pretty. And I also love these osteospermum, which I think are really pretty in this border. So you've got the two different varieties. This really, really pretty one, and then the sort of more normal one, I guess. Backed by, there's a cordyline behind it, euphorbia again, that's the Ascot rainbow I think it's called, and some evergreen shrubs. Going around peony, that's done. The roses are starting to bloom again, or they have been doing. It needs to be deadheaded. And then the other thing which comes up in this border, which is absolutely beautiful, is the sedum. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Now I don't think it gets enough light, enough sunlight here really, and I think that's why it's sort of growing outwards and leggy and sort of flopping a bit. So I might be taking that one out and putting it somewhere a little bit more sunnier. But it does look so pretty. And the leaves. Quick update on the tree espalier, honeysuckle tree espalier. So I had a bit of an issue. I think I forgot to water it properly when we had that really dry spell, and it started to go a bit sort of brown. The leaves started to go brown, but it is starting to pick up now. So I gave it a little bit of feed, and I've been making sure that it's watered regularly, and it is starting to pick up. So it's starting to push new green leaves, but it has grown really, really well, sort of towards the top. So it's going out that way, and then out that way, and then out the bigger way as well. So it's going to create this sort of tree effect on this side here, which I think is going to look really, really beautiful. Anyway, let's go look at the rest of the garden. So guys, the back garden has probably seen the biggest update in the last month. About maybe 6 weeks ago, I did a video on upgrades that I wanted to do to the borders. There wasn't really much in the front border that I wanted to change, mainly in the back borders. So I've started kind of taking action on that. And I've started changing things up a bit. I've started removing plants that I don't like. So you will see that there are some holes, some plants that are looking a little bit shady. But anyway, I'm going to show you anyway, and sort of talk you through the plan and why I've done it. So just for reference, this is one side of the border. We've got the chicken coop and the shed at the top. So this, I am learning more and more that this is more of a part shade garden. I know it looks like it's somewhat in the sun, especially the top corner, but actually it just gets sun sort of in the afternoon, and it's, yeah, I thought it was more of a sunny border. So this year I have planted a few things in there that have not fared that well. In particular lavender, which I had there and there, which really didn't do well, so I have taken those out and put them somewhere else. I'll show you where I've put them. But apart from that, everything's looking okay. The hostas are looking, yes, they are looking a bit shabby because they've been eaten by the slugs. So the last couple of months they have been ravaged really. I should really cut them back, but I don't want to get rid of all the green, so we'll see. We've got beautiful Acarus ogon. They're sort of dotted about in the sort of shady bits just to add a bit of kind of colour. They are evergreen, so they will be there all year round, and I'll just add a bit of light pop. Beautiful heuchera underneath as well, underneath this apple tree, which is quite new, but it's doing really well actually. Hopefully next year we'll get some apples from it. We've got some hardy geraniums again behind it. We've got some mostly evergreen shrubs behind it. Yeah. So coming under our lady's mantle, that's still young and that's going to grow up and then have those beautiful sort of chartreuse blooms. The begonias, oh my goodness, so this is definitely a flower I am going to repeat. Look at those, and they've been doing this all summer long. Absolutely beautiful. The spent blooms, so the blooms that have sort of gone, you can't really see, they just kind of drop. So you never really have to groom this plant ever. And just look at it. They're just so beautiful. That's one of the best flowering plants in our garden at the minute. Really, really beautiful. So we've got these a bit further up as well. So in this corner, this is one of the new things that I've planted, which is a Solomon seal. So these are sort of spring, early summer plants, and that'll sort of grow a bit bigger. They love the shade, sort of part shade. And in the spring, summer, they'll put out these little hanging white flowers. They sort of hang down from the stem, really, really pretty. So I've decided to put two of those in our more shadier spot. And then behind that we've got our lovely lungwort, which provides that brightness and just that sort of variation in leaf colour at the back. A couple of hostas again, they'll grow a bit bigger, but again they've been ravaged a bit by the slugs. And again, I've just sort of repeated some of the flowers going up. I've tried to do that all the way through our borders to provide that little cohesion. So going hardy geraniums and lady's mantle again, peony, which is not obviously in flower at the minute. Got a really nice group of hellebores there, so a couple of different varieties, and I want to add some more, or maybe just let them fill in all the way through this area. So the next thing I've added, which is new to the border, I think since the last tour, is this hydrangea. So it's called a red macrophylla hydrangea, although it is pink. So again, it is coming to the end of its blooms. But I mean, this is what they look like when they first come out. Really, really pretty. And they sort of age to all over pink. I think we can see that one behind. That's a bit of a better one. Look at that. So beautiful. So another reason I planted this macrophylla hydrangea is because of the nature of the border being a bit more shady. I had another different hydrangea in here, panicle hydrangea, which is more of a sun-loving hydrangea. So I've taken that out, put it on the other side where the sun gets the other border a bit better, and I've put that in, and that sort of mirrors another macrophylla hydrangea here, which is more whitey, limey green. And again, we've got the begonias, which are just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But again, you can see there are some holes here. I took out some phlox as well, because again, they're more sun loving and they're going to go somewhere a bit more sunnier. But yeah. Oh, and the other thing I gotta point out are the grasses. So again, this is a perennial grass. So they're in their element at the moment, the perennial grasses. They love, well, they come out flowering in autumn really, all the way through, and you can leave them out up through winter as well, and then just sort of chop them back early spring and they'll start to push new growth again. And then underneath this huge ligustrum, so this one needs pruning back most years because it just grows crazy. So I have limbed it up a little bit so I can then have a bit of a more shadier area beneath it. So again, this year I've gone to town actually in the last few months with hostas. They're all going to fill in beautifully next year. We've got our brunnera, We've got our lungwort as well, our pulmonaria. And then another thing that I put in was another Solomon seal. So that's at the back there. And I think that's going to look beautiful. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Where's your friend? She inside being broody. So we've got 2 hens left now, and one seems to be inside quite a bit the last couple of weeks. I think she's being broody again. But yeah. There we go, guys. So that's that part of the border. Our chicken coop shed. The olive tree doing well. So we have got olives, but that is our biggest olive. And a lot of them are just like this, which is fine. You know, I never sort of expected us to get an olive harvest, really. I mean, this is quite a new plant. Maybe next year will be a little bit better, but I just don't think we have the weather to grow full-grown olives and harvest them. But yeah, we'll see what it does next year. So, excuse the trampoline, the eyesore. The children still love it, so we're keeping it for a little bit longer. So again, this border down here, very skinny, which I do want to change once the trampoline goes. I want to sort of widen a little bit, at least to come out a little bit more there. But at the moment we've got some verbena, which have now flowered out. Russian sage, which is a bit which is a little bit small this year. Again, it'll grow next year properly. Red hot pokers, Niphophia behind it. And then we've got a red Photinia, actually, this one, which has got more of the reddy leaves. And then we've got bamboo, climbing hydrangea, which comes out sort of spring, early summertime, with the, maybe more sort of early summer actually, yeah, with sort of pale yellow flowers, really, really pretty. Peony, that's obviously gone. And then another thing I've changed in the last week or so. So the lavender that was there before was really old. I've taken that out, and that's one of the lavenders over from the other side. So that's hopefully going to do much better in a more sunnier spot. And then I've planted as well, because I wanted something yellow next to the lavender. So I've planted a yellow loosestrife. So I've never ever grown one of these before. I've heard that they can be a little bit of a thug, so I think you have to keep on top of them. But they sort of grow quite big, sort of maybe 90 centimetres tall and wide, and they have these yellow little flowers, really, really pretty. So yeah, hopefully that'll do well next year. And the beautiful eucalyptus tree, which needs pruning really, because what we want at the moment is just sort of growing up quite tall. We want it to grow out with branches, so I think what we might do is try and top it, which is not really what you're supposed to do, because you have to sort of prune them quite robustly, I guess. So each year you sort of prune them slightly. Yeah, there's sort of a regimen that you can follow for eucalyptus, and we haven't been following it, unfortunately, but we are going to try and top it and then see if it then starts to branch out a little bit. We'll see if it works. I will let you know. So under here we've got some more hostas, and again they're going to fill out. They're very new. Iris, which is a yellow iris here. And then we've got a gap, which is where I had an achillea, which I took out. So yeah, that needs something there. It's another hole in the garden which I need to fill. Gladly. What I might do is divide this agapanthus, and it's not really got enough room there. I'll put one there and then one further down. We will see. So we've got the Lady Gardener rose, which is kind of on its second, well, just coming out of its second flush really, but really beautiful, sort of light peachy. Smells absolutely beautiful. Echinacea again. And then coming on down, got the lobelia there, which is now finished. Black lace elderberry behind. Oh, I didn't take that out. I thought I'd taken that out. That is a verbena bonariensis, which I've taken out my whole garden. I had 2 in the front border, 2 in the back border, and I do not want them in my garden because they salty everywhere, absolutely vigorously, and they end up flopping as well, so they just haven't done well in my garden. Bees love them though, which is a shame. yeah, so more verbena, which is an annual. You can just about see the remnants. That's what the flowers were. That's an annual there, that'll come out. Sweet alyssum, looking beautiful. Just a little carpet of... See, this is it. See, that is a verbena bonariensis seedling. That's what it's done everywhere. Absolutely, 100 and 100. Look, there's another one. Here you go. If anybody wants any verbena seedlings, let me know. I've got hundreds in my garden. Beautiful, beautiful Otto's Thrill dahlia. Absolutely gorgeous. So huge in the plate dahlia. And then again, this is something that I changed. So we had 3 lupins here, taken 2 out, left 1, put the hydrangea in, which is more of a sun-loving hydrangea, which is a panicle one. The lupins, they were just looking too messy for too much of the summer with no blooms. They had beautiful blooms sort of spring into early summer, but then nothing. And it was just too much of a green area for too much of summer. So yeah, we've got 1 left, which is the purple lupin, and then we've got the hydrangea as well. Lamb's ear. Oh, this plant is just such a workhorse. So good. At the front of a border, keeps going all summer. It has beautiful purple blooms sort of beginning of summer that come up. Bees love them. But yeah, really great ground cover. If you're looking for a ground cover that likes the sun, that is one to get. And again, ladies' mantle. Got some ornamental sage down there, some hellebores around this cherry tree. We've got clematis, which is a pink flowering clematis that's kind of done really for the season. And again, I've put a new loose strife, the yellow loose strife in here, which is, pardon me, which is going to fill in. And then this euphorbia, which sells seeds everywhere as well, so you do have to watch. See, that's coming up there. And there, and there, everywhere. So this is where I had another yarrow, which I've taken out. So I might put the other, when I divide the agapanthus, I'll put the other part in there. And then this was our Boscobel rose, but it's pretty much done. Oh no, there's a few more blooms trying to open. Okay, not quite done yet. That's good. Ladies' mantle again. Got some geraniums, foxgloves dotted about as well. Another lavender, which is hopefully going to get more sun there. And again, another repeat basically. Yeah, just a bit of a repeat. Lovely perennial grass, echinacea, black lace elderberry in the back. And this one, I do get questions about this one actually, this creeper. This is Virginia creeper. And look at it, it's starting to change for its autumn colour. And it goes sort of through autumn, it goes bright pink, bright red. The leaves, absolutely beautiful, but then it does drop all its leaves, so you are then left with a bit of a bare fence, which is a shame, but it's gone all the way up. So this is very vigorous, so you do want to sort of tame it a little bit, which I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of stop it growing there because I've got a clematis, an early flowering clematis that I want to sort of train to come over this way as well. So yeah, but it looks so beautiful at the moment with its red foliage. Really beautiful. And then something I wanted to update you on, which I'm so surprised about, is this. Okay, I know it doesn't look like much, but this is the rambling rose, which I took out of the front border because it wasn't rambling up anything, it was just kind of planted weirdly. It was there when we moved in, and I literally got no roots at all. But look, it's starting to push growth. I'm so surprised, really so surprised. That's the only one, so I don't know if the other parts are dead, but I am just amazed at the will of this plant to wanting to grow, honestly, absolutely amazed. So we'll see how it does over the next couple of years. But yeah, that was a big experiment. So guys, that is it. Oh, apart from the little climbing rose, this is the generous gardener, and again it's kind of past its best really. There are a couple more buds, but yeah, that's hopefully going to climb all the way up this iris arch. And as you can see, I've not cut the grass for a few weeks. It looks really long and messy, but it's just been too wet. So that, guys, is the back border. Alright guys, so I hope you've enjoyed looking around our garden. So yeah, maybe take a video of your own gardens or photos, just maybe every month. And you can sort of just take stock of the garden, how it looks throughout the season, and then you can see if you need to add anything either there or then, or maybe next year. So if maybe in summer you thought something was lacking, maybe in June or July, then maybe plant something that flowers in June and July this year or next year. But yeah, so yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.